wish I could have said from the beginning that I always had the courage to build the life that I've always wanted. That I didn't hesitate. That I saw a clear path and I just paved the way towards it. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe I was scared. I mean, the world is so big and I'm just a tiny speck of it, so I guess it felt a little overwhelming. That translated into waiting. Always waiting for the perfect moment. Or making up excuses as to why right now is not the right time. A lot of time went by. Time that I can't get back. Do I have any regrets? A few. But I'm also glad that I broke through in the end and showed up for myself. And so in today's episode, we're going to talk about something that we all literally do. We hesitate, we wait, we say that we want something, but then our actions say otherwise. And let's be honest, that's something that we all do, we've all done at some point in our life. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the root cause of that, why we do it, how we can break away from that fear and actually start living life the way that we say that we want to do it. But yeah, before we begin today's video, I just want to say welcome if you're new here. And if you're not new here, then thank you very much for coming back. And for those of you who watch my videos and comment and share your stories, I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. It helps me out when I read the comments and I see different people sharing their stories, their versions, how they're living their life. It inspires me to live life to the fullest as well and to also keep making these videos. So I'm pretty sure your comments as well, they are helping other commenters or other people who read the comments. So if you do have anything to share, then you know what to do. Drop it in the comments. Let me know one thing you procrastinated on or why you haven't taken the steps to building the life that you say that you want. What is holding you back? Definitely let us know in the comments so that we can all grow together. I feel like a lot of the time, a lot of us, we want change, but it doesn't happen. Change doesn't just happen. And the reason for that is because we have to change in order for something to change. And that's the difficult part, actually changing ourselves, becoming the person that we want to be, becoming the person that lives life the way that we envision it. And I think for myself, what I realized the problem was, it was a little bit similar to the golden cage syndrome. Like you want to change your life, you want to actually start chasing your dreams, start working towards them, start practicing towards them, but you don't necessarily do it because you kind of feel comfortable at the moment. And that's how I felt. There wasn't anything that made me feel like I need to make immediate change. I was still comfortable and I had many passions and many different things that I thought, I could do this, I could do that. So I didn't feel any urgency to actually make a decision and actually start chasing a goal. It wasn't until I lost some of those options that I started to really think and kind of start to worry and understand that soon I need to make a decision as to where I want to go in life. And it was pretty scary, to be fair, because I was at a point where I was pretty much lost. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I kind of had ideas, but I didn't necessarily have the confidence or the self-belief to actually pursue those dreams and those goals. So what ended up happening was I literally just waited. I just waited for the perfect moment, for the right moment. I made excuses as to why I couldn't start now. And those excuses actually made me feel better about myself. They made me feel more comfortable. And thinking back on it now, making those excuses is the reason why I was able to wait so long and feel comfortable in that sort of waiting room that I created for myself. But really and truly, that was literally just holding me back, holding my life back, putting my life on pause. When actually all I needed to do was to start making the first steps towards chasing that goal, even if it felt impossible, even if it felt overwhelming. My next best step was to actually just move forwards. Because that's the thing, waiting, it doesn't do any good. All waiting does is just build regret. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying be impatient, but I feel like sometimes we overthink things and we want things to be perfect before we actually start, which is a trap in itself because things are probably never going to be perfect, or they're very rarely going to be perfect. So you're going to end up never starting. As you probably well know, life is unpredictable. It can look like, today can be closer to the perfect day to start, and then tomorrow it's a completely different story, and now you're even further away from perfection. And then all these excuses come back and you start telling yourself, do you know what, I'm going to start when I get this, or when that happens, I'll start. When I have more time, I'll do this, I'll do that. But all that does is just give opportunity for regret to just keep building and building and building. Because eventually you are going to start, and then you're just going to think to yourself, why didn't I do this earlier? And it doesn't just stop there. When we do start, there is one trap that a lot of us fall into, which is actually procrastination disguised in itself as productivity. Now, what I mean by that is we start planning, we start putting down all these ideas, structures, brainstorms, calendars, plans, all these kind of things. We put them into place, and it all feels great because it feels like we're doing something productive. It feels like we're moving towards that goal, we're moving closer to it, but we're actually not. I personally don't think you've actually moved any closer to that goal until you've actually started taking the steps. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't plan, because obviously planning is great, it's going to make life easier. But if you do find yourself in a cycle of making all these plans, vision boards, brainstorms, and then never actually starting on the thing that you said you were going to start on, then maybe you might need a different approach. And it also depends on the type of person that you are as well. I feel like some people, they're very excited about the plan, they enjoy making the plan, but the execution, not so much. And that's why they get sort of stuck in this trap of wanting to do something, making a plan for it, spending all this time doing that, and then never actually putting in the execution part. For me, I'm the opposite of that. I don't really plan as much. I like to sort of just start and then see what happens, start and then just go along with it. And that's something I learned to do from pretty young, to be fair, because I very much remember making a plan and then not doing anything with that plan after. And I was literally just wondering to myself, why did I waste all that time making that plan when I wasn't even going to start? So sometimes it's good to literally just start and then think about the rest later. Just get some momentum going, and then you can start thinking of, you know, vision boards, plans, structures, how you're going to do things. But I feel like in the beginning, you don't really need to be thinking about how you're going to do things. All you got to think about is, when am I going to start and how am I going to start? That's literally it. Just get that momentum going and then think about the rest later. Because the problem with all these plans as well is that it kind of makes us chase perfection. Like, we make this plan and we want every single thing to reflect the plan that we've made before we actually make a start. You know, all the stars need to align first before we actually act. And this perfection that we're looking for is actually a shield. It's like a comfortable shield for you not to actually take any action and be comfortable where you are now. It gives you an excuse not to start because, you know what, you can tell yourself, I would have started today, but because that's not right, I can't start, so I'm just gonna keep waiting. And that waiting is so comfortable. And that's why even though we want something, we don't necessarily take action to move towards it, because of the fact that that waiting period is so comfortable. A lot of the time, anything that is worth getting, it will put you through discomfort. It's just the way of the world. If you want to be good at something, you gotta, you know, keep putting in the practice, sacrifice your time, and invest it into that thing. Sometimes you have to give up things that you love doing, so that you can put more time into that thing that you want to chase. And as a result, you keep waiting. Like, we feel like we're not ready to make that jump or to give up those things. So we just kind of get stuck in this waiting room that I mentioned earlier, where we know we have this goal in mind, we know what we need to do towards it, but we don't take any action because we don't feel ready to make any sacrifices or to go through discomfort. We'd rather be in that comfortable waiting room. And the thing is as well, sometimes you kind of have to give up the person that you are in order to go and get these things that you want. Sometimes there's so many things that you might have to compromise. Maybe you're somebody who spends a lot of time in bed, like you wake up really late. These are things that you know you're going to have to give up. So it's too difficult for you and you don't end up doing it. For me, I value family, friendship a lot. And the sacrifice that I kind of had to make was obviously I had to spend less time with family. I had to spend less time with friends, especially when I first made the decision that I wanted to get into cinematography. There was so much to learn and there was so much information I had to take in, and I wanted to do it as quickly as possible. So obviously I had to make some sacrifices. I didn't spend as much time with friends and family. I was literally just focused on practicing and learning cinematography, which, to be fair, I enjoyed quite a bit. I feel like the idea of giving up the person that you are now so that you can become something better is a lot scarier before you've actually taken that first step. Once you've actually taken the first step, you realize, do you know what? It's actually not that hard because I enjoy doing this thing. Yes, I'm having to sacrifice other things that I do love. However, it's not so bad. And sometimes you only realize this after you've made that first step. Sometimes all the worries that you have in your head or the reasons as to why you shouldn't start now, sometimes you only realize how trivial they are or how small they are after you've actually taken the first few steps. And that's why I always say it's important to just start now and then kind of figure out the rest later, because it will just come to you naturally. I feel like as human beings, we don't necessarily know what we're capable of until we're faced with something so uncomfortable that it kind of forces us to evolve in that moment. I know it's hard, like it's not easy, I've been through it. It's not easy to let go of that fear and just go and chase the life that you want. And I'm not just talking about career success and money. What I'm really talking about is living life the way that you want to live it. And that's through your everyday actions and exercising your free will to the maximum. So what I will say is that if you've got that fear holding you back, then maybe just practice small acts of bravery. Do something that you've never done before that scares you. It doesn't have to be something crazy or something big. It can just be something small so that you can kind of get your brain more accustomed to choosing the uncomfortable over the comfortable. And it's really just about small things. For example, the other day I went to a restaurant by myself. It's not something that I normally do, but I just thought, you know what, I'm feeling this food and there's no one with me at the moment. Why should I wait for anybody? Let me just go in there and get the food that I want. And yeah, I'll be real, in the beginning, it was a little bit awkward. But when I had been there for like 10 minutes, got my food, I was sat down, I learned a valuable lesson, which is that things look a lot scarier from the outside than they do when you're actually inside. When you're outside the restaurant, looking through the windows, and everyone's sitting, eating together, you're thinking to yourself, oh, like, it's a bit awkward going in there by yourself and just sitting down. And that's when it feels the most intimidating, that point where you're literally just outside. But trust me, when you've actually entered, you've gone in there, you've sat down, it's actually not as bad as you think it is. And for me, I feel like that's a microcosm for life. I feel like that's true for everything. Anything and everything that you're going to do is always going to feel scarier. It's always going to look scarier from the outside before you've actually started. But once you actually get going, once you actually get some momentum, you realize that it's actually a little bit easier than you thought it was, and it's actually not as scary. A lot of that fear that we have is just our mind kind of playing tricks on us, kind of making us think about all these different scenarios, all these ways in which things could go wrong. But the funny thing is, most of those things, a lot of the time, don't end up happening. All those things that we're worried about, a lot of the time, they're literally just in our head. And the thing is, we're scared of taking action sometimes because we feel like it's risky and we're scared of potential consequences. But we kind of forget the consequences and the cost of doing nothing. We kind of forget what risk that brings, which is obviously that if we do nothing, then nothing will change. Time will pass and we're still going to be stuck in that same position that we don't like. So I feel like it's best to just take that risk, just take action, just start, because then at least with that, the possibilities are endless. The possibilities could literally be anything. You could succeed, you could fail, you could learn something new, but doing nothing is certain. And the certainty is that in a few years' time, you will look back with regret. But yeah, I challenge you this week to do something small that you've never done before, something that kind of makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Just go out there and do that small thing. I feel like these small acts of bravery, they kind of get our brains more accustomed to choosing the uncomfortable over the comfortable. But yeah, if you've watched the video up until this point, then thank you very much. If you're here, you might as well subscribe, like, and as I mentioned earlier, comment, share your story. Let us know what's been holding you back from actually living the life that you want. That's going to help me out because I literally read all the comments, and that's going to help out other commenters, other viewers as well, because I know for myself, when I do watch a video, I always go into the comments and I kind of read about other people's stories, other people's shares, and some of the stuff that you sometimes read can actually be really inspiring. So let's help each other out, and I will see you on the next one.